Tablet I. The Coming of Enkidu. Prologue and Paean. King Gilgamesh tyrannizes the people of Uruk, who complain to the gods. To divert his superhuman energies, the gods create his counterpart, the wild man Enkidu, who is brought up by the animals of the wild. Enkidu is spotted by a trapper, who lures him away from the herd with a prostitute. The prostitute shows him her arts and proposes to take him to Uruk, where Gilgamesh has been seeing him in dreams. He who saw the deep, the country's foundation, who knew, was wise in all matters. Gilgamesh, who saw the deep, the country's foundation, who knew, was wise in all matters. He everywhere and learned of everything the sum of wisdom. He saw what was secret, discovered what was hidden. He brought back a tale of before the deluge. He came a far road, was weary, found peace, and set all his labors on a tablet of stone. He built the rampart of Uruk, the sheepfold of holy Aina, the sacred storehouse. See its wall like a strand of wool, view its parapet that none could copy. Take the stairway of a bygone era. Draw near to Aina, seat of Ishtar the goddess, that no later king could ever copy. Climb Uruk's wall and walk back and forth. Survey its foundations, examine the brickwork. Were its bricks not fired in an oven? Did the 7 sages not lay its foundations? A square mile is city, a square mile, date grove, a square mile is clay pit. Half a square mile the temple of Ishtar, 3 square miles, and a half is Uruk's expanse. See, the tablet box of cedar, release its clasp of bronze. Lift the lid of its secret. Pick up the tablet of lapis lazuli and read out the travails of Gilgamesh, all that he went through. Surpassing all other kings, heroic in stature, brave scion of Uruk, wild bull on the rampage. Going at the fore he was the vanguard, going at the rear, one his comrades could trust. A mighty bank, protecting his warriors, a violent flood wave, smashing a stone wall. Wild bull of Lugalbanda. Gilgamesh, the perfect in strength, suckling of the august wild cow, the goddess Ninsun. Gilgamesh the tall, magnificent and terrible, who opened passes in the mountains, who dug wells on the slopes of the uplands, and crossed the ocean, the white sea to the sunrise, who scoured the world ever searching for life, and reached through sheer force Utanapishti the distant, who restored the cult centers destroyed by the deluge, and set in place for the people the rights of the cosmos. Who is there can rival his kingly standing, and say like Gilgamesh, "It is I am the king." Gilgamesh was his name from the day he was born, 2/3 of him god and 1/3 human. It was the lady of the gods drew the form of his figure, while his build was perfected by divine nudimud. A triple cubit was his foot, half a rod his leg. 6 cubits was his stride, cubits the front part of his. His cheeks were bearded like those of. The hair of his head grew thickly, as barley. When he grew tall his beauty was consummate, by earthly standards he was most handsome. In Uruk the sheepfold he walks, back and forth, like a wild bull lording it, head held aloft. He has no equal when his weapons are brandished, his companions are kept on their feet by his contests. The young men of Uruk he harries without warrant. Gilgamesh lets no son go free to his father. By day and by night his tyranny grows harsher. Gilgamesh, the guide of the teeming people. It is he who is shepherd of Uruk the sheepfold, but Gilgamesh lets no daughter go free to her mother. The women voiced the troubles to the goddesses, they brought the complaint before them. Though powerful, preeminent, expert, and mighty, Gilgamesh. Let's, no, girl go free to her bridegroom. The warrior's daughter, the young man's bride. To their complaint the goddesses paid heed. The gods of heaven, the lords of initiative, to the god Anu they spoke, a savage wild bull you have bred in Uruk the sheepfold. He has no equal when his weapons are brandished. His companions are kept on their feet by his contests, the young men of Uruk. He harries without warrant. Gilgamesh lets no son go free to his father. By day and by night his tyranny grows harsher. Yet he is the shepherd of Uruk the sheepfold, Gilgamesh, the guide of the teeming people. Though he is their shepherd and the protector, powerful, preeminent, expert, and mighty, Gilgamesh lets no girl go free to her bride, groom. The warrior's daughter, the young man's bride. To their complaint the god, Anu, paid heed. Let them summon Aruru, the Great One. She it was created them, mankind so numerous. Let her create the equal of Gilgamesh, one mighty in strength. And let him vie with him, so Uruk may be rested. They summoned Aruru, the Great One. You, Aruru, created mankind, now fashion what Anu has thought of. Let him be a match for the storm of his heart. Let them vie with each other, so Uruk may be rested. The goddess Aruru heard these words. What Anu had thought of she fashioned within her. The goddess Aruru, she washed her hands, took a pinch of clay, threw it down in the wild. In the wild she created Enkidu, the hero, offspring of silence, knit strong by Ninurta. All his body is matted with hair. He bears long tresses like those of a woman. The hair of his head grows thickly as barley. He knows not a people, nor even a country. Coated in hair like the god of the animals, with the gazelles he grazes on grasses, joining the throng with the game at the waterhole, his heart delighting with the beasts in the water. A hunter, a trapper man, did come upon him by the waterhole. One day, a second and then a third, he came upon him by the waterhole. When the hunter saw him, his expression froze. But he with his herds, he went back to his lair. The hunter was troubled, subdued and silent. His mood was despondent, his features gloomy. In his heart there was sorrow. His face resembled one come from afar. The hunter opened his mouth to speak, saying to his father, "My father, there was a man came by the waterhole. Mightiest in the land. Strength he possesses. His strength is as mighty as a rock from the sky. Over the hills he roams all day. Always with the herd he grazes on grasses. Always his tracks are found by the waterhole. I am afraid and I dare not approach him. He fills in the pits that one, myself, dig. He pulls up the snares that I lay. He sets free from my grasp all the beasts of the field. He stops me doing the work of the wild." His father opened his mouth to speak, saying to the hunter, "My son, in the city of Uruk, go, seek out Gilgamesh. In his presence, his strength is as mighty as a rock from the sky. Take the road, set your face toward Uruk, do not rely on the strength of a man. Go, my son, and fetch Shamhat the harlot. Her allure is a match for even the mighty. When the herd comes down to the waterhole, she should strip off her raiment to reveal her charms. He will see her, and will approach her. His herd will spurn him, though he grew up amongst it." Paying heed to the advice of his father, the hunter went off, set out on the journey. He took the road, set his face toward Uruk. Before Gilgamesh the king, he spoke these words. There was a man, came by the waterhole, mightiest in the land. Strength he possesses, his strength is as mighty as a rock from the sky. Over the hills he roams all day, always with the herd, he grazes on grasses, always his tracks are found by the water hole. I am afraid and I dare not approach him. He fills in the pits that I, myself, dig. He pulls up the snares that I lay. He sets free from my grasp all the beasts of the field. He stops me doing the work of the wild. Said Gilgamesh to him, to the hunter, Go, hunter. Take with you Shamhat the harlot. When the herd comes down to the waterhole, she should strip off her raiment to reveal her charms. He will see her, and will approach her, his herd will spurn him. Though he grew up amongst it. Off went the hunter, taking Shamhat the harlot, they set out on the road, they started the journey. On the third day they came to their destination. Hunter and harlot sat down there to wait. One day and a second they waited by the waterhole, then the herd came down to drink the water. The game arrived, their hearts delighting in water. And Enkidu also, born in the uplands. With the gazelles he grazed on grasses, joining the throng with the game at the waterhole, his heart delighting with the beasts in the water. Then Shamhat saw him, the child of nature, the savage man from the midst of the wild. This is he, Shamhat. Uncradle your bosom, bear your sex, let him take in your charms. Do not recoil, but take in his scent. He will see you, and will approach you. Spread your clothing so he may lie on you. Do for the man the work of a woman. Let his passion caress and embrace you. His herd will spurn him, though he grew up amongst it. Shamhat unfastened the cloth of her loins, she bared her sex and he took in her charms. She did not recoil, she took in his scent. She spread her clothing and he lay upon her. She did for the man the work of a woman, his passion caressed and embraced her. For 6 days and 7 nights Enkidu was erect, as he coupled with Shamhat. When with her delights he was fully sated, he turned his gaze to his herd. The gazelles saw Enkidu, they started to run, the beasts of the field shied away from his presence. Enkidu had defiled his body so pure, his legs stood still. Though his herd was in motion, Enkidu was weakened, could not run as before, but now he had reason, and wide understanding. He came back and sat at the feet of the harlot, watching the harlot, observing her features. Then to the harlot's words he listened intently, as Shamhat talked to him, to Enkidu. You are handsome, Enkidu, you are just like a god. Why with the beasts do you wander the wild? Come, I will take you to Uruk the sheepfold, to the sacred temple, home of Anu and Ishtar, where Gilgamesh is perfect in strength. Like a wild bull lording it over the menfolk. So she spoke to him and her word found favor, he knew by instinct, he should seek a friend. Said Enkidu to her, to the harlot, Come, Shamhat. Take me along to the sacred temple, holy home of Anu and Ishtar, where Gilgamesh is perfect in strength, like a wild bull lording it over the menfolk. I will challenge him. For my strength is mighty. I will vaunt myself in Uruk, saying, I am the mightiest. There, one shall change the way things are ordered. One, born in the wild is mighty. Strength he possesses. Shamhat. Let the people see your face, that exists I know indeed. Go, Enkidu, to Uruk the sheepfold, where young men are girt with waistbands. Every day, in Uruk, there is a festival, the drums there rap out the beat. And there are harlots, most comely of figure, graced with charm and full of delights. Even the aged they rouse from their beds. O Enkidu, as yet sir, ignorant of life, I will show you Gilgamesh, a man happy and carefree. Look at him, regard his features. He is fair in manhood, dignified in bearing, graced with charm is his whole person. He has a strength more mighty than yours. Unsleeping he is by day and by night. 0 Enkidu, cast aside your sinful thoughts. Gilgamesh it is whom divine Shamash loves. The gods Anu, Enlil and Ea have broadened his wisdom. Before you even came from the uplands, Gilgamesh in Uruk was seeing you in dreams. Gilgamesh rose to relate a dream, saying to his mother, O mother, this is the dream I had in the night. The stars of the heavens appeared above me. Like a rock from the sky one fell down before me. I lifted it up, but it weighed too much for me. I tried to roll it, but I could not dislodge it. The land of Uruk was standing around it. The land was gathered about it. A crowd was milling about before it. The menfolk were thronging around it. Like a babe in arms they were kissing its feet. Like a wife, I loved it, caressed and embraced it. I lifted it up, set it down at your feet, and you, O mother, you made it my equal. The mother of Gilgamesh was clever and wise, well versed in everything. She said to her son, Wild Cow. Ninsun was clever and wise, well versed in everything. She said to Gilgamesh, the stars of heaven appeared above you. Like a rock from the sky one fell down before you. You lifted it up, but it weighed too much for you. You tried to roll it, but you could not dislodge it. You lifted it up, set it down at my feet, and I, Ninsun, I made it your equal. Like a wife you loved it, caressed and embraced it. A mighty comrade will come to you, and be his friend's savior. Mightiest in the land, strength he possesses, his strength is as mighty as a rock from the sky. Like a wife you'll love him, caress and embrace him, he will be mighty, and often will save you. Having had a second dream, he rose and entered before the goddess, his mother. Said Gilgamesh to her, to his mother, once more, O mother, have I had a dream? In a street of Uruk, the town square, an axe was lying with a crowd gathered round. The land of Uruk was standing around it. The country was gathered about it. A crowd was milling about before it. The menfolk were thronging around it. I lifted it up and set it down at your feet. Like a wife, I loved it, caressed and embraced it, and you, O mother, you made it my equal. The mother of Gilgamesh was clever and wise, well versed in everything. She said to her son, Wild Cow Ninsun was clever and wise, well versed in everything. She said to Gilgamesh, My son, the axe you saw is a friend. Like a wife you'll love him, caress and embrace him, and I, Ninsun, I shall make him your equal. A mighty comrade will come to you, and be his friend's savior. Mightiest in the land, strength he possesses, his strength is as mighty as a rock from the sky. Said Gilgamesh to her, to his mother, May it befall me, O mother, by counselor Enlil's command, let me acquire a friend to counsel me. A friend to counsel me I will acquire. So did Gilgamesh see his dreams. After Shamhat had told Enkidu the dreams of Gilgamesh, the two of them together began making love.